Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the verbal ability section where we're solving previous year's CAT papers. We did solve CAT 2017 verbal ability section slot 1 yesterday. Today we'll take slot 2. Good evening, everyone. I'll just wait for another 2-3 minutes for everyone to join in and then we will begin. If you remember, the RC section of CAT 2017 slot 2 was a tad bit easier than the RC section of slot 1. Well, I was just going through the verbal ability section a while ago of 2017 slot 2 and I found it slightly easier than the slot 1 section. I think you will too. So we'll probably take less time than we did yesterday. But anyway, let's just wait for everyone to come in. All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. So let us begin. Just like yesterday, what I'm going to do is I'll share the question with you. I'll give you about 3 minutes to solve it, and then we'll reasonably analyze the question. Okay? Let's see what we have first. The first question says the 5 sentences labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 given below, when properly sequenced, would yield a coherent paragraph. Decide on the proper sequence of the order of the sentences and key in this sequence of the 4 numbers as your answer. This is probably a misprint. This has to be 5. So please don't be bothered about it. What we're dealing with is a paragraph jumble. Para jumble. You put them back in the same order. Okay? Alright. You have 2 minutes or maybe 3 minutes. And then we'll discuss it. Another 1 minute. Okay. I think there is an obvious opening statement. As we discussed yesterday, The most general statement will be the opening statement. Which statement introduces something over here? The most general statement. And we'll go to specific later on. Come on, guys. You've read this, right? The entire passage talks about nitrogen and its usage. Yes, exactly. 5 is the first statement, opening statement. 5. One of the most dramatic examples in nature of ill wind that blows goodness is lightning. Lightning. We start about lightning. Continue talking about lightning in the next sentence. Lightning starts the series of chemical reactions that need to happen to nitrogen, ultimately helping it nourish our earth. Now we have introduced nitrogen. Now we talk about more about nitrogen. Nitrogen, an essential food for plants, is an abundant resource with about 22 million tons of it floating over each square mile of earth. It refers to nitrogen. In its aerial form, nitrogen is insoluble, unusable, and in need of transformation. Before plants can take life from atmosphere, nitrogen must undergo transformations similar to ones that undergo in our digestive machinery. So 5, 4, sorry, my bad. 5, 3. 5, 3, and then 4, 2, and 1. I think this was a fairly simple parajumble. Four starts with nitrogen, an essential food for plants. It is too abrupt to start a paragraph like this, right? You can't start a paragraph by introducing something. Also, if you see, it says one of the most dramatic examples in nature of ill wind that blows goodness is lightning. So, introduces lightning here. A clear introduction of lightning. 4 talks about nitrogen. Okay, if I start with 4, I can't fit in 5 anywhere. Because we're going from lightning to nitrogen. We're not coming from nitrogen to lightning. Alright? Next. Thank you so much, sir. This means a lot to me. Thanks a lot. Okay. Uh, so the entire passage, if you see, the entire passage talks about placebo effect. You know what a placebo effect is? That our brain is strong enough to cause biochemical reactions within our body to cure itself of disease. So a lot of times doctors don't give you any medicine. They tell you that this medicine will cure you, and you start thinking that this medicine is curing you, and you actually heal. That the mind is that powerful thing. So, guys, the opening statement has to be two. It explains what the placebo is. The placebo effect is when an individual's medical condition or pain shows sign of improvement based on a fake intervention that has been presented to them as a real one, used to be regularly dismissed by researchers as a psychological effect. Now we talk about the study of placebo effects. Placebo effects are now studied not just for foils, so 2, 5. Potential portal into self-healing powers of the body. That the mind has the power to trigger biochemical changes because the individual believes that a given drug or so 254 will be effective could empower chronic patients through the notion of our body's capacity of self-healing. 254 and then between 3 and 1 self-healing. The placebo effect is not solely based on believing in treatment. However, the clinic setting in which the treatments are administered is also paramount. 2, 5, 4, 3. And last one. This has huge implications on healthcare. This clearly is the last statement because it talks about implications on the healthcare system. The entire passage is talking about placebo. Lastly, we introduce what a placebo is and we talk about how it works, and then we talk about what implications it has on the healthcare system. So 25431, that is it. Try the next question. This is also relatively easy if you look out for keywords here. Treat it like the description of a person. There's an obvious opening statement here. You've got the opening statement correct, Aditya, but that's not the right order. Four has to be followed by one particular statement. The introduction of the person. So that's a simple mandatory pair. Come on, guys. Uh, guys, come on, yaar. This is not that difficult. You're getting it all wrong. Clearly, we are talking about a person known Samuel Johnson. Okay, and obviously the opening statement is 4. I simply have to ask you, which statement introduces Samuel Johnson? Of course, 3. So 4, 3 has to be the order. Then the Johnson who challenged Bishop Berkeley's solipsist theory of non-existence of matter by kicking a large stone, whom languages must have a daily practical use. John treated English very practically. So I have 4, 3 as a mandatory pair, followed by 5, 1 and eventually 2. Could we follow this? Yes, no? I'm not going to check anything. This is the order. Why will I check something else? There is no other order which is possible. If I say, okay, you're saying 4, 3, 1, 2, 5. Let's consider this. 4, 3, okay. Then 1, 2. 1 says English, treated English very practically. 5 will not make sense. Because first he challenged the Bishop Berkeley's solipsist theory of non-existence of matter. First he challenged it. Okay. The challenge has to come first. You can't just abruptly bring a challenge at the end. Because 4 is a generic statement. 4 doesn't even talk about Mr. Samuel Johnson. 4 talks about English as a language. Then we go on to Samuel Johnson. I can't start with Samuel Johnson, then come to a broader aspect of English and then go back to Johnson. आगे चलते हैं. Oh, I was saying this is actually a very easy parasymbol. Was I audible in the past last for the last one? Could you follow the explanation of the last paragraph parasymbol? Please let me know. After that, I said this is actually a very easy parasymbol. It's a cakewalk. I'm still not audible. No, I'm just asking you, were you able to follow the last one? Yes, you were. Okay, this I'm saying this is a very easy parasymbol. And also I said that I saw the slot 1 paper yesterday, I saw slot 2 paper today. Slot 2 definitely is much easier than slot 1. So you may face something like this as well, wherein say slot 1 has easy math and easy difficult English and vice versa in slot 2. It gets scaled out at the end, but yeah. So as I said, a very simple parasymbol. You can just join the dots and solve it. Two being the opening statement, very general. Rather simple. Two is the most general statement. How reflect the world around us. As soon as we capture a story, the world we were trying to capture, the world around us, right? Then 3-4 is a mandatory pair. Never quite right for us in our time. Get them quite right. Never quite right. So 3-4 is a mandatory pair. Last is 1. Are we clear with this? Yes? Okay, great. A summary question. A very simple question at it again. See, if I say 2, 5 and then I go to 1, it takes on new meaning in a modern India. The line following it has to talk about what new meaning in a modern India. I don't have that in 3-4. So 3-4 has to precede 1. 1 has to be the last statement. I think you've got this correct, all of you. Yeah. North American walnut sphinx moth caterpillars look like easy meals for birds, but they have a trick up their sleeves. They produce whistles that sound like bird alarm calls. scaring potential predators away. At first, scientists suspected birds were simply startled by the loud noise, but now suggest a more sophisticated mechanism appears to mimic a bird alarm call, yes, sending avian predators scrambling for cover. When packed by the bird, the caterpillars whistle by compressing their bodies like an accordion and forcing out through the specialized holes in their sides. Whistles are impressively loud considering they are made by a 2-inch long insect. A says North American walnut sphinx North caterpillars will visit periodically to ward off predators. Not periodically. Every time they think they're in danger, they do so. B says North American walnut sphinx cats can whistle very loudly. The loudness of their whistle. It only talks about loudness of their whistle, but it's not the case of the loudness. It's a bird alarm call, right? C says the North American walnut sphinx not captures in case of acoustic deception. Yes, because they mimic a bird alarm call, which is deception. Produce whistles that mimic bird alarm calls to defend themselves. C clearly is the best answer. Option D says North American walnut sphinx moth caterpillars in case of deception, camouflage. Camouflage? No, there's no camouflage. Yeah, so incorrect information in D. C. Most of you got this right, so cool. Next. I think most of you are zeroing in between B and D, Bravo and Delta. Let's take this up. Both Socrates and Bacon were very good at asking useful questions. In fact, Socrates is largely credited with coming up with a way of asking questions, the Socratic method, which itself is at the core of scientific method popularized by Bacon. The Socratic method disproves argument by finding exceptions to them and can therefore lead your opponent to a point where they admit something that contradicts their original position. In common with Socrates, Bacon stressed it was as important to disprove a theory as it was to prove one, and real-world observation and experimentation were key to achieving both aims. So, mind you, it was important to disprove a theory as it was to prove one. Real-world observation and experimentation were key to achieving both aims. So, there are two aims, mind you, not just one. I think based on that very thing, I can go with D. D as in delta, because it says from both sides, proving and disproving them. B only talks about challenging arguments, not proving them. Let's take a look at A. Both Socrates and Bacon advocated clever questioning of the opponents to disprove their arguments and theories. Again, very unidirectional, not just disprove them. This is partially correct, B. It does not talk about disproving the argument. C says both Socrates and Bacon advocated confirming arguments and theories by finding exceptions. No, we don't know about exceptions, not mentioned. Clearly, D is your answer. Right? Okay. I think so far so good. I haven't seen a very challenging question thus far. Next. This is one question which I found slightly tricky. I would not say difficult, but yes, it makes you think. So it probably is a little more time consuming than the others. Okay. The passage says a fundamental property of language is that it is slippery and messy and more liquid than solid. A gelatinous mass that changes shape as to fit. So it is not concrete. Let's say this. As Wittgenstein would remind us, usage has no sharp boundary. This is important. Oftentimes, the only way to determine the meaning of a word is to examine how it is used. Yes, guys, this is something we studied in reading comprehension as well. Words do not have concrete meanings, it depends on the context, so they're open to perception. This insight is often described as the meaning is used doctrine. There are differences between the meaning is used doctrine and a dictionary first theory of meaning. The dictionary is careful fixing of words to definition. This is what the dictionary does. It defines a word. Like butterflies pinned under glass can suggest that this is how language works. Okay. The definitions can seem to ensure and fix the meaning of words just as the gold standard can back a country's currency. What Wittgenstein found in the circulation of ordinary language, however, was a free floating currency of meaning depending on the context. The value of each word arises out of the exchange. The lexicographer abstracts a meaning from that exchange. Abstract. So there is a communication, there is an exchange, and how you use a word is, I should be able to extract that meaning, okay, which is then set within the convention of the dictionary definition. Alright. Option A says dictionary definitions are like gold standards, artificial, theoretical, and dogmatic. Nowhere have these words been mentioned. So I can eliminate A. Language Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Language is already slippery. Given this, accounting for meaning and use will only exasperate the problem. Already slippery. Given this, accounting for meaning and use will only exasperate the problem. We can't say that. That is why lexicographers fix meanings. Okay? We can't go with this either. Meaning is dynamic. So they don't fix meaning. In fact, they abstract the meaning from that exchange. Meaning is dynamic. Definitions are static. Incorrect. The meaning in use theory helps us understand that definitions of words are culled from their meaning. Culled as in removed from the meaning in exchange. This is also incorrect. Oh, my bad. My bad. Just a minute. So guys, meaning is dynamic. Yes, meaning is dynamic. Meaning keeps changing. Definitions are static. So what is given in the dictionary is static. The meaning in use theory helps us understand that definitions of words are culled from their meaning in exchange, extracted from their meaning in exchange and used, and not vice versa. So it would depend on how they're being used in an exchange and not the other way around. C captures everything. D says the meaning of words in dictionaries is clear, fixed, and less dangerous and ambiguous than the meaning that arises when words are exchanged between people. Less dangerous and ambiguous. We're not talking about dangerous or ambiguity. Again, misleading. C is the best answer. Yeah. Most of you got this right. Well done. Moving on. No. I'm not a lexicographer. Lexicographer, see, lex refers to words. Graph means writing. A lexicographer is somebody who writes dictionaries. This is actually a very easy question again. Pretty easy. I've already got a few correct answers. Yes, most of you given me the right answer. The passage talks about how unskilled we are while communicating. So it talks about communication. Alright, communication is a two-way process. You listen and you speak. You listen carefully as well, known as active listening. All the other statements talk about the same thing. Emotional efforts they have on others without thought. So we are unskilled. We talk more than we need. We are unskilled. We listen poorly. We are unskilled. We must carefully orchestrate our speech if we want to achieve our goals and bring our dreams. But goals and dreams is a new perspective altogether. So, 2 is the odd one out. Okay. Next. This is also a rather simple passage, guys. Very easy elimination. Okay. I was hoping this did not happen. Guys, you've rushed into it. Okay. Uh, 2 is not the odd one out. 2 is not the odd one out. Now, what I want you to do is, rather than finding the odd one out, find out the order of sentences. 2 is not the odd one out, mind you. In fact, I'll tell you this. 2 is the opening statement. Take another 2 minutes. I have a 2-1. Yes, 2-1 is all right. Okay, I'll spill the beans. Wimbledon's Wimbledon's greatest illusion is the sense of timelessness. One of us, a similar impression. 2-1. Finest champion. Which is the finest champion? Roger Federer. "14 years after, once he had survived the opening week, the second week witnessed the range of rested Federer's genius." 2-1, 3-4, guys. 5 is the odd one out. क्या हो गया है आप लोगों को? What's wrong with you guys? 2-1-3-4. Come on. Don't do this. Are we clear with this? Most of you would take out 2 because it talks about Wimbledon, while other 4 sentences talk about Roger Federer, which is a trap. Which is a trap. I hope this is clear. Okay, cool. Last question. I think you'll get this easily. हाँ जी, deceptive था. It wasn't deceptive. You rushed into it. You thought it is too easy. We're talking about a person in 4 paragraphs. One is talking about Wimbledon. Let's mark this as our answer. So it was tricky. Yeah. Yes, I think most of you will get this right. Yeah, most of you will get this right. Yes, most of you are getting this right. 1 is the odd one out. If you see 4 and 3 is a mandatory pair. Graphic designers embed cryptic references because it adds story to the brand. They want people to spend more time with the brand and have that idea that they are an insider if they can understand the hidden message. It's not just logos with hidden shapes. Cryptic references, not just logos with hidden shapes. So 4-3 starts the statement. Then we talk about the Commonwealth Bank logo, but the Commonwealth Bank's logo. So 2-5 is also a mandatory pair. 2 and 5. I hope this is clear. And I think you would agree with me that this was easier than slot 1, right? Any questions? I'll be more than glad to assist you. Alright then, I will see you next week with another set of questions. Maybe 2 classes of RC, 2 classes of VA, the same way we did today. I'll see you after the weekend. Have a good weekend ahead, guys. Take care of yourselves. Cheers.